එවං මේ සුතං ඒකං සමයං භගවා සාවන්තියං විහෙරති 제තවනේ අනාථ පින්ඩිකංස ආරාමේ අතකෝ අඤ්ඤතරා දේවතා අභික්ඛන්තාය රන්තියා අභික්ඛන්තවන්නා කේවල කම්පං 제තවනං ඕවාසෙන්වා යේන භගවාතේනුපසංකමී උපසංකමින්වා භගවන්තං අභිවාදෙන්වා ඒකමන්තං අන්තාසී ඒකමන්තං තිතාකෝසා දේවතා භගවන්තං ගාතාය අංජබාසී බහුදේවා මනුන්සාච මංගලානි අචින්තයොං ආකංකමානා සොන්තානං බ්‍රෝහි මංගල මුන්තමං අසේවනාච බාලානං පණ්ඩිතානංච සේවනා පූජාච පූජනීයානං ඒතං මංගල මුන්තමං අතිරූපදේශවාසෝච පුම්බේච කත පුඤ්ඤතා අන්ත සම්මා පනිදිච ඒතං මංගල මුන්තමං බාහු සංචංච සිම්පංච විනයෝච සුසිංකිතෝ සුභාසිතාචයාවාචා ඒතං මංගල මුන්තමං මාතාපිතු උපන්ඨානං පුන්තදාරංස සංඝෝ අනාකුලාච කම්මන්තා ඒතං මංගල මුන්තමං දානංච ධම්මචරියාච ඥාතකානංච සංඝෝ අනවංජානි කම්මානි ඒතං මංගල මුන්තමං ආරති විරති පාපා මංජපානාච සංයමෝ අප්පමාදෝච ධම්මේසු ඒතං මංගල මුන්තමං ගාරවෝච නිවාතෝච සන්තුන්තිච කතං යුතා හාලේන ධම්ම සවනං ඒතං මංගල මුන්තමං කන්තිච සෝව චන්සතා සමනානංච දන්සනං කාලේන ධම්ම සාකච්ඡා ඒතං මංගල මුන්තමං තපෝච බ්‍රහ්මචරියංච ආරිය සංචාන දන්සනං නිබ්බාන සංචිකිරියාච ඒතං මංගල මුන්තමං පුන්තංස ලෝක ධම්මී චින්තං යන්සන කම්පති අසෝකං විරජං කේමං ඒතං මංගල මුන්තමං ඒතාදිසානි කන්වාන සම්බන්තමපරාදිතා සම්බන්ත සොන්තිං ගච්ඡන්තිතං තේසං මංගල මුත්තමන්ති ඒතේන සංච වංජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං ඒතේන සංච වංජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං ඒතේන සංච වංජේන හෝතු තේ ජය මංගලං කරණීයමන්ත කුසලේන යන්තං සන්තං පදං අபிසමින්ච සක්ඛෝජෝච සෝජෝච සුවචෝචං සමුදවනතිමානි සන්තුන්සකෝච සුභරෝච අම්පකින්චෝච සල්ලහුකවුන්ති සන්තින්ද්‍රියෝච නිපකෝච අම්පගම්බෝ කුලේසු අනුනුගින්දෝ නචකුන්දං සමාචරේකින්චි යේන විඤ්ඤූ පරේ උපවදේයෝ සුඛිනෝ වාකේමිනෝ හන්තු සම්බේ සන්තා භවන්තු සුඛිතන්තා ඒකේචිපාන භූතන්ති තසවාතාවරාවා අනවසේසා දීඝාවායේ මහන්තාවා මංජිමාරංසකානුකතුලා දිට්ඨාවායේව අන්දින්ටා යේච දුරේ වසන්ති අවිදුරේ භූතාවා සම්භවේසීවා සම්බේ සන්තා භවන්තු සුඛිතන්තා නපරෝ පරං නිකුම්බේත ඥාති මඤ්ඤේත කන්තචිනං කංචි ව්‍යාරෝසනා පටිග සංඥා ඥාඤ්ඤ මඤ්ඤංස දුක්ඛමිච්ඡේය මාතායතානියං පුන්තං ආයුසා ඒක පුන්ත මනුරක්ඛේ ඒවම්පි සම්භූතේසු මාන සංභාවයේ අපරිමාණ මෙත්තංච සම්බලෝකස්මින් मान संभावये अपरिमाण उन्दं अदोच तिर्यञ्च असंभादं अवेरं असपन्तं तिन्ठं चरं निसिंनो वा सयानो वायावतंस विगतमिन्दो ईतं सतिं अदिन्ठेय ब्रह्ममेतं विहारं इदमाहो दिन्ठिञ्च अनुपगम्य शीलवा दंसनेन सम्पन्नो कामेषु विनियगेदं न हि जातु गम्बसेयं पुनरेति
Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Very good morning to everyone. Nice to see you again on another Sunday over Subang Jaya Buddhist Association, Facebook and YouTube Live. As usual, please check your Wi-Fi reception. Ensure they are of good, strong enough for your audio and visual. During this online Buddha Puja service, remember to have a calm mind, even if you are encountering the problem. You may join us in the chanting. Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Welcome to Subang Jaya Buddhist Association. It's the 42nd online Subang Sundays Buddha Puja service. We organize this weekly online Puja service in order to give an opportunity to Buddhist devotees near and far to continue with our Buddhist faith and practices and listen to a Dhamma sharing during this COVID-19 period. Let us prepare ourselves by sitting comfortably, relax our bodies and compose our mind. Let go of thinking about the past and future and be in the present moment. I shall now hand over to the Puja leader, Sister Anne. Over to you, Sister Anne.
Thank you, Brother Chuan. Good morning, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Namo Buddhaya. Let us begin with our Sunday Buddha Puja service by making offerings to the Buddha. May we invite Brother Jim to make the offerings. Brothers and sisters, if you have prepared the offerings at home, you may also light your candles and oil lamps and make the offerings to the Buddha. For the other devotees, let us fold our palms together in Anjali position and contemplate mindfully. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Thank you, Brachin. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, let us pay homage to the true Puja. Buddhang Pujemi, Dhammang Pujemi, Sanghang Pujemi. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, let us together take refuge in the Triple Gem and observe the 5 precepts. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kame sumiccācara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Suramiraya macca pamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Imani panca sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani panca sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani panca sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddhassa. Buddho Vidyacharana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Satta Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehi Passiko Oppanayiko Pacchattang Veditabbu Vinyuhiti Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Nyayapatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Samicipatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Yadidang Chattari Purisa Yugani Atta Purisa Pukkala Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakineyo Anjali Karaniyo Anuttarang Punya Kaitang Lokasati Vanjami Chettiyang Sabbang Sabbatani Supatititang Saririka Dhatu Mahabodhi Buddha Rupang Sakalam Sada Yasamule Nisinova Sabbari Vijayang Aka Pato Sabbanyotang Satta Panditang Buddhipadapang Ime ete Mahabodhi Lokanatena Pujita Ahampite Namasami Bodhi Raja Namatute Ganasarapaditena Dipena Tamadansina Tiloka Dipang Sambuddhang Pujayami Tamodudang Ganda Sambara Yuttena Dupenahang Sugandina Pujaye Pujaniyam Tang Puja Bhajana Muttamang Vanaganda Gunopetang Etang Kusuma Santating Pujayami Munindassa Siripada Saruruhe Pujemi Buddhang Kusumena Nena Punyena Metena Chahotu Mokang Pupang Milayati Yata Idang Me Kayo Tatayati Vinasa Bhavang Adivase Chuno Bante Paniyang Parikapitang Anukampang Upadaya Patigan Hajumutamang Kayena Vacha Chittena Pamadena Maya Katang Achayang Kamame Bante Puripanya Tathagata Kayena Vacha Chittena Pamadena Maya Katang Acayang kamame Dhamma Sanditika Akalika Kayena Vacha Chittena Pamadena Maya Katang Acayang kamame Sangha Supatipanna Anuttara Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo Buddhaya. This morning we are very pleased to have Brother Chim Siu Chun to be sharing his Dhamma Talk. A quick introduction for Brother Chim. He's a founder member of Subhanjaya Buddhist Association, and he has been the president of the associations at the beginning of 1992 to 2019. Brother Chim is also a founder member and past president of the Theravada Buddhist Council of Malaysia, which was registered in 2012, and the purpose is to unite the Theravada Buddhist community in Malaysia and to work with other national Buddhist organizations to safeguard the overall interests of Malaysian Buddhists. He is also the executive committee member of the Selangor Buddhist Development Council. Brothers and sisters, without further ado, let us invite Brother Chim to share the Dhamma with us on the title Changing Destiny. And just remember, you have any questions, please place it in the comment box. Over to you, Brother Chim.
Thank you, Brother Chuan. Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Good morning. This morning, Dhamma Talk is supposed to be given by our Venerable Indarathana. But on last Friday night, I was told that he was not feeling well. Yesterday, he sent us a message that he was having some flu-like symptom and therefore went for his PCR test and need a rest. Therefore, I have a slot in this morning. And the topic that I would like to talk on this morning is on changing destiny. How our destiny is changed and how we change our destiny. I shall start today's talk by quoting what the Buddha said in the Samyutta Nikaya. Next, please. In the Devata Samyutta of the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha says, craving is what produces a person. His mind is what runs around. A being enters upon samsara. Karma determines his destiny. Therefore, his destiny is determined by his karma. There's so much wisdom in what the Buddha say. In this Devata Samyutta, the Buddha say, craving is what produces a person. It is because of craving that we cannot let go. We cling on to the five aggregates of our mind and our body, so strong that when we die, even though the consciousness element separate from the other elements of our body, there's the wind, the heat, the water, earth elements of our body. Even though the consciousness element separated from the elements of the body, but the consciousness element consisting of a stream of thoughts cannot cease immediately or will not cease immediately due to our craving and clinging, and continue on by uniting with a speck of matter somewhere in the universe, consisting of earth, water, wind, and heat, and space elements, and a mind base, provided by an egg, fertilized by a sperm, and therefore a new life is conceived. The new life will carry on along with him all the tendencies and potentialities of his or her past life, and his or her mind will continue to influence his destiny. His mind is what runs around, the Buddha said. The Buddha said in Dhammapada verse 1, mind is chief, mind make our day. If one speak or acts with a wicked mind, suffering will follow one's, even as a wheel follows the hoof of the draft ox. If one speak or acts with a wicked or evil mind, because of such bad karma, when the conditions are right, such bad potentialities will fusion to give rise to bad results, resulting in one to suffer. The Buddha also said in Dhammapada verse 2, mind is a forerunner of all states. Mind is chief. Mind make our day. If one speak or acts with a pure mind, happiness will follow one's, even as one's shadow that never leaves. Because when the condition is right, the shadow will reappear. Mind is a forerunner of all states. If one or speaks with a pure and wholesome mind, when the conditions are right, our good karma will ripen to give rise to good results, giving rise to happiness, just like a shadow that never leaves. Because if the conditions are right, the shadow will definitely reappear. A being enters upon samsara. Once reborn again, subject to the cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death, and to be reborn again and again, unless and until he cut off his craving caused by his ignorance. Karma, therefore, determines his destiny. So long as he's reborn again, his karma or his intentional action, there's action preceded by his mind, when being done again and again, becomes an habit, and habit builds one's character, which in turn influences one's future destiny. And when he passes away, his past karma and his last state of mind or last thought or the death thought will once again determine whether he will be reborn in a better existence or otherwise, and therefore his future destiny after his death. So there's so much wisdom in this saying of Buddha in Samyutta Nikaya 1.196. One day, many years ago, when I was just a small boy, probably in Standard 1 or Standard 2, my mother brought me to see a medium in a Taoist temple. He looked at my face, he looked at my palm, and he told my mother that I would grow up successful and rich by the age of 30. My mother was very poor those days. Of course, she was very happy to hear such predictions. My mother was just selling kueh to earn a living. My father was selling ice cream on a bicycle. We were staying in just a one-bedroom, very old, dilapidated village house. My mother sent me to an English medium school. No one in my family or my neighbors spoke English. I was totally lost in my 2 or 3 weeks in class, and I don't know what the teacher was teaching. And I was hiding myself, so the teacher could not see me and ask me any questions. I was so lost and so embarrassed. Then I decided to walk. I decided to go to my uncle's house, which was about 1.5 kilometers away. My uncle was a churchman, and he knew some basic English. So he taught me for about 3 to 4 days. From then onwards, I started to understand what my teacher taught. And then somehow I did quite well in class, usually top 3 of the class for many years. Maybe due to some luck, I also did very well in my MCA examinations. I got a government scholarship to study engineering. So education, in a way, changed my destiny from a life of poverty to a middle-class professional. I worked for a few years as engineer, first with the government and then with the private sector. I thought I have a good career with a good pay, but the Malaysian economy went very bad in 1985-86. By November 87, I was retrenched. I lost badly in the share market too. I lost almost everything. I gave up my 2 houses that I bought because I couldn't pay the installments. So 1988 was actually a nightmare for me. I was aged 30 in 1988. You remember what the Taoist medium told me? That I would become rich at the age of 30. Maybe what he meant was that at the age of 30, I would have a turning point in my life. Because at the age of 30, I couldn't get a job that even pay half of my pay as an engineer. So I went into sales, selling lubricants with no salary, but purely on commission only. My sales was good because many of those bosses of the factories, the heavy industries especially, they liked me and supported me. So in 1988 also, together with some friends, we started Subang Jaya Buddhist Association. I was the pro tem secretary to register the association on the 23rd November 1988. That again was my turning point. Before that, I hardly knew anything about Buddhism. I knew more about Christianity than Buddhism. What the Taoist medium say, that I will be rich by the age of 30, might not be exactly precise, but 30 years old was certainly the turning point for me to become better and better in my life. So the next 30 years was certainly a meaningful and memorable one for me, doing a lot of meaningful work, meaningful things that I was happy with. I don't know how to read one's destiny, and I also don't bother to learn. But one thing I certainly understand is that we can change our destiny through our karma. I think probably most of you also have heard about this very famous Chinese story, Chinese or ancient Chinese Buddhist story or folk story. Once upon a time, there was a young man who was from a family of scholars and government officials. His father, his grandfather, his great-grandfather, his uncles, and so on and so forth. They were all very well-known scholars and government officials. For many generations, his ancestors were scholars, and after passing the various civil examinations, they worked as very high government officers. But this young man's mother did not want him to work for the government and wanted him to be a traditional medicine doctor, a sensei. So he worked full-time as a sensei. One day he was up the hill plucking some herbs, and he met a sage, a wise man, who can see one's future. So he saw this young man, and he realized that this young man was no ordinary person. He read his palm and face and told him, "Hey, young man, you are destined to be a great man, a very high officer with the government. What are you doing here, plucking herbs and not pursuing your great future?" And the young man explained to the sage that his mother wanted him to be a traditional medicine doctor, a sensei. And the sage said, "Bring me to your mother." So the young man brought the sage to see his mother. And the sage told the mother the future of her son, that he will be a very successful top government officer. This was all written in his destiny. Let him further his studies. He will pass his village examinations, his county examinations, his provincial examinations by such a date. Brother Chuan, can you hear me? My laptop has a problem. Brother Chuan, can you hear me? My laptop got a bit of problem.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Then her son would pass all this examination by such a date and become a very successful government officer. But he would have no children and he would die very young. The mother was very convinced by the sage, and so she let her son sit for the school examinations at the village level. True enough, he passed the exams exactly as predicted by the sage. And then by such a date, just as predicted by the sage, by the wise man, he was soon promoted as a top government officer. He was very happy, very contented, because he has reached the highest level in his career, as predicted by the wise man, who can see his destiny. Therefore, he felt that he should have no more further ambitions, as he has already reached the highest level of his destiny. So one day he went to a meditation retreat. He meditated very, very well. His mind was so peaceful, so calm, so serene. Sitting in the meditation hall was the chief abbot, the chief monk of the retreat center. The chief monk noticed how calm and how peaceful and how serene this young man was. So he could see that this man was a man with great destiny. So when the young man opened his eyes, the chief monk congratulated him for being so good in meditation. And the young man said, yes, I'm now very contented. I'm very happy, very peaceful. I've achieved all that I can achieve. So now I only spend my time to meditate. There's nothing else for me to pursue. I have already achieved everything that I can in this life. The chief monk looked at him and then she said, I thought you are a great man. Now I realize that you are just an ordinary man with such ordinary mindset. Young man, you can change your destiny by doing good, by working hard, by helping others, by doing lots of charity, by giving the services to other people, and continue to work hard. You can achieve even higher position than now. Your destiny is in your mind and in your hands. The young man was so impressed with the advice given by the chief monk that he decided to strive further. He worked harder, study more, and do lots of charity, lots of services, save lives, and etc. He sat for the imperial examinations the following year, and he passed the highest national examinations. So eventually he was appointed as a very high level officer with the central government. And eventually also he have a son, because earlier on the sage said that he would not have any children, but eventually he also have a son, and eventually he also lived until very ripe old age instead of dying young as predicted earlier. So this is just a story, but the moral of the story taught us that we can change our destiny. We don't need to blame everything on fate. If you are doing well, if you are not doing well, we don't need to blame others. We can change our fate. We can change our destiny. Our destiny, next please. Brother Yik, next please. Our destiny is conditioned by our past karma that can be further conditioned with our present karma. Whether we are born rich or healthy, good looking, smart, or otherwise, is conditioned by our past karma. Whether we continue to be rich, healthy, good looking, smart, or otherwise, will be conditioned by our present karma. The Buddha taught us all this in the Chula Karma Vipanga Sutta, as well as in the other sutta. In this sutta, next please, there was a young man by the name of Supa. Supa was the son of a rich man called Toteya. And Toteya was very rich because in his previous life, he was very generous. He did a lot of dana, helping a lot of people, doing a lot of dana for the Sangha. But somehow in this life, he became very miser. He refused to do dana anymore to the Sangha. He refused to do charity to help people who are in need, even though he was very, very rich. Rachwan, can you hear me? My computer got problem again. Can you see me?
We can just carry on. Thank you.
Sorry, I just continue the case. Okay, sorry. So in this very life itself, Toteya became very miser. And then he didn't do all this, what you call the charity and so on and so forth. And eventually passed away. So one day the Buddha passed by his house. And the dog in front of the house that belonged to this Supa was barking loudly at the Buddha. The dog was barking very loudly. And as the Buddha passed by, the Buddha said to the dog, Toteya, Toteya, why do you still want to bark at me? When you were alive, you have abused me so many times. Now you have been reborn as a dog. You still want to abuse me. Supa heard it and he got so angry. He came out and scolded the Buddha. He said, how can you insult my father? My father was already reborn in heaven. We believe in our religion that when we pass away, we will be reborn again in heaven. So how can you insult my father calling this dog my father name? Then the Buddha, instead of answering him directly, the Buddha asked the young man, he said, Supa, do you know that when your father was alive, your father had many gold items, such as a gold vase and gold sandals and gold and so on and so forth? Supa was surprised. He said, yes, my father did have all these items. And do you know where they are now? Supa said, no, I'm not. I don't know. Then why not you ask the dog to bring you to go and find where all those items are? And Supa was a bit curious and then asked the dog whether he knows where are all those gold items. And the dog brought Supa to the garden behind and found all these gold items, all these treasures hidden in the garden, buried. So Supa was now a bit confused and a little bit convinced what the Buddha said. And so he went to see the Buddha. He talked to the Buddha and asked Buddha many questions, among which is, he said, what is the reason What's the cause, O Lord? That we find amongst mankind the short-lived, the long-lived, the diseased, the healthy, the ugly, the beautiful, the powerless, the powerful, the poor, the rich, the low-born and high-born, the ignorant and the wise. Why? The Buddha replied, all living beings have karma as their own, their inheritance, their congenital cause, their kinsman, their refuge. It is karma that differentiates beings into low and high states. Next please. Brother Yik, next please. The Buddha say, if one is a killer of living beings, murderers, bloody-handed, given to blows and violence, merciless to living beings, due to having performed and completed such karmas, on the dissolution of the body after death, he reappears in a state of deprivation, in an unhappy destination, in perdition, in hell. If he comes to the human state, he is short-lived wherever he is reborn. So the Buddha says, if one is killing, one committed the act of killing, he may be reborn in a state of suffering, even in hell. If he comes to the human state again, then he is very short-lived. They die very early. But if one would abandon killing, if one don't kill, but instead one is merciful and compassionate and take care of other welfare of other beings, help other beings, save the life of other beings, due to such karma, when the person passes away, then he'll be long-lived wherever he is reborn. Next please. Similarly, if one who harms others, he harms beings with his hand, he causes other people to suffer, then when he dies, he will reappear in a state of deprivation. But if instead he comes to the human state, he is sickly wherever he is reborn. That's why sometimes we see somehow certain people, they are born with a silver spoon in the mouth. They have a good life, good food, good nutrition, plenty of fresh air, and so on and so forth. But it's still very sickly. It's not healthy. All right. So this could be one of the reasons why, because of the past life or past karma that he has done to cause harm to other beings, whether human beings or whether animal and so on and so forth. But if one does not harm beings with his hands, with cause or with states or with types, due to having performed and completed such karmas, on the dissolution of the body after death, he reappears in a happy destination. If instead he comes to the human world, the Buddha says, he will be healthy wherever he is reborn. This is the way that leads to good health. Next please. And the Buddha continues to say, if one who is much given to rich, even when little is said, he is very furious, very angry, very ill-disposed, very resentful, he shows ill temper, hate, surliness, and so on and so forth, due to having performed and completed such karma on the dissolution of the body after death, he reappears in a state of deprivation. If instead he comes to the human world, he will be ugly wherever he is reborn. This is the way that leads to ugliness. So when someone is always very angry, full of anger, full of hatred, no metta at all, even though he or she may be reborn as a handsome or beautiful person, as the person grows older and older, his appearance also can change and becomes not so good looking. But if one is not angry, much given to rich, even when much is said, he's not furious, he's not angry, he's not ill-disposed, he's not resentful, he does not show ill temper, hate or silliness. He got a lot of metta instead. Because of all this, when he passes away, he will reappear in a happy destination. If he is reborn to a human world again, he will be very good looking. He or she will be very good looking. Next please. The Buddha continued to say to Subha, the Buddha say, if one is envious, he envies others, he begrudges others, he harbors envy about other people gain, honor, veneration, respect, salutations, and offerings, due to having performed and completed such karma. On the dissolution of the body after death, he reappears in a state of deprivation. If instead he comes again to the human world, he is insignificant when he is reborn. Whereas if one who is not envious, he does not envy, begrudge, or harbor envy about other people gain, honor, veneration, respect, salutations, and offerings, after he passes away, he will reappear in a happy destination. But if he were to be born again as a human being, he will be influential wherever he is reborn. So you can see sometimes why some people somehow they are very popular, very influential in their life. All right, next please. And the Buddha say, if one is not a giver of food, drink, cloth, if one is not charitable, refers to all this dana of food, drink, and cloth, due to having performed and completed such karma, when he passes away, he will be reappears in a state of deprivation. If instead he comes to the human state, he will be poor wherever he is reborn. But if one is a giver of food, drink, cloth, due to having performed and completed such karma, on the dissolution of the body after death, he will reappear in a happy destination. If instead he comes to the human state, he will be rich wherever he is reborn. All right, I think we also have seen many examples of some people, somehow, even though they do very little work, not much, but somehow wealth will come his way very easily. Just performing minimum effort, he can get wealthy quite easily. So this is one of the way the Buddha told us that because of such past karma, therefore we are creating all this potentiality for us to have a better life eventually. Okay, please, next please. And if one visiting a monk or Brahman does not ask what is wholesome, venerable sir, what is unwholesome, what is blamable and what is blameless, what should be cultivated and what should not be cultivated, and so on and so forth. So if one always, when even meet up with some wise people, refuse or not willing to ask questions, even though he himself or she herself is not, does not understand. Because of this, because by doing it will be long, due to such karma on dissolution of body after death, he or she will reappear in a state of deprivation. If he is reborn again as a human world, he will become stupid, not so smart when he or she is reborn. But when a person asks a lot of questions to those wise people, what is wholesome, venerable sir, what is not, and so on and so forth, when he or she come back to the human world, he will be wise wherever he is reborn. Next, please. So, Brother Yik, so the way that leads to short life makes people short-lived. The Buddha said, the way that leads to long life makes people live long. The way that leads to sickness makes people sick. The way that leads to good health makes people healthy. The way that leads to ugliness makes people ugly. The way that leads to good looking makes people good looking, and so on and so forth. The way that leads to wisdom will make people wise. People or beings are owners of their own karma, of their own karma. They have karma as their progenitor, karma as their kin, karma as their homing place. It is karma that differentiates beings according to their inferiority and superiority. The Buddha say all this in the Chula Kama Vipanga Sutta. Okay, next please. There's also a very interesting story, very interesting illustration in Anguttara Nikaya, Book of 5, Sutta number 31. The Buddha say, tell this story, there's this story in this sutta, that during the time of the Buddha, when at one time when Buddha was staying near this Savatthi, in a Jeta Grove, the Anatta Pindika monastery, there was a princess called Sumana, who came to see the Buddha with 500 of his royal maidens. 500 means many. This princess came to see the Buddha with many of her royal maidens. She went up to the Buddha, she bowed and sat down to one side and asked the Buddha. She said, Bhante, Venerable Sir, suppose there were two disciples, equal in faith, in virtues, and in wisdom. One do a lot of dana, and the other is not. When they pass away, they are both reborn again in heaven. When they are now both in heaven, would there be any difference between these two? Two who in the past life, they are equal in faith, virtues, and wisdom, but one do a lot of dana, and one do not want to do dana, or did not do dana. The Buddha said, yes, there would be difference between the two, Sumana. As a heavenly being, the one who perform a lot of dana would surpass the other in 5 respects. In a lifespan, in a good looks, in happiness, in fame, and popularity. But one day, if they pass away from there and come back to this state of existence as human beings, would there be any difference between them? Yes, there would. The Buddha say, as a human being, the one who did a lot of dana would surpass the other in 5 respects. There's a human lifespan, you live longer, you got good looks, you got happiness, you got more fame, and you got more popularity. But one day, if both of them go forth from the lay life to homelessness, a life of homelessness, to become monks, would there be any difference between them? Yes, the Buddha say, as a monk, one who was a giver before will surpass the other in 5 respects. That more people will offer to the monk who did a lot of dana before, in robes, in alms, food, in lodging, in medicine, and so on and so forth. I think this one, for us who come to the temple to do dana regularly, you can see that certain monks, when they come to SJBA for Samba, many devotees will come to offer food, plenty of food, plenty of robes, plenty of other requisites. All right? So the Buddha say, this could be one of the reasons why certain monks, they receive more in terms of robes, in terms of armed foods, in terms of medicine, and so on and so forth. But Bhante, if both attain arahantship, as an arahant, if they pass away, would there be any difference between them? The Buddha say, in that case, I say there's no difference between the liberation of one and the liberation of the other. So if both of them pass away eventually, when they pass away, both of them attain parinibbana. So there's no more difference between them, right? So from this story of the Sumana Sutta, it can be seen that faith, virtue, and wisdom will lead us to a good destiny, either in the human world or in the heavenly world. but the merit accumulated by doing dana will enhance one's longevity, good looks, happiness, fame, and popularity. Next, please. The Buddha say in the Anguttara Nikaya 10.217 that there's a threefold corruption and failure of bodily karma, a fourfold corruption and failure of verbal karma, and a threefold corruption and failure of mental karma, arising from unwholesome volition, having a painful outcome and results, which is because of the threefold corruption and failure of bodily karma, the fourfold corruption and failure of verbal karma, and the threefold corruption and failure of mental karma, arising from unwholesome volition, that with the breakup of the body after death, beings are reborn in the plane of misery, in a bad destination, in the lower world. So the Buddha told us in this Anguttara Nikaya 10.217 that because of the bad karma that we commit through body, through speech, and through mind, we can have a very painful outcome. Because of that, we may be reborn again in a plane of misery, or in the lower world, and maybe even in hell. Next, please. But the Buddha continued to say, there is a threefold success of bodily karma, a fourfold success of verbal karma, and a threefold success of mental karma, arising from the wholesome volition, having a pleasant outcome and results, which is because of this threefold success of bodily karma, fourfold success of verbal karma, and threefold success of the mental karma, arising from the verbal volition, that with the breakup of the body after death, beings are reborn in a good destination, even in the heavenly world. And therefore, the Buddha say, if we have good karma through body, through speech, and through mind, then because of such karma, you can have very good outcome and good results. We may be reborn again in a good destination, even in the heavenly world. And if you're born again as a human being, even human world, then we have a lot of, or enjoy a lot of the good fruits of our past good karma. Okay, next please. Therefore, our future destiny, when we are reborn, is also very much influenced by our karma. How does our karma influence our rebirth? Our karma is very much conditioned by our last thought, which in turn is very much conditioned by our past karma. To understand this easier, we must understand better who we really are. Who are we actually? We look at ourselves and we look at one another. We can see us physically, but we learn in science that we have a body and a mind. The Buddha also taught us that we have a body and a mind. And the Buddha say the mind and the body are made up of unit particles of the mind, the Sambayutta Dhamma, and unit particles of the body, the Buddha called Rupa Kalapa, which are made up of all those elements. We are just a small bundle of elements in the massive universe of elements. And this small bundle of elements consisting of the earth, water, fire, and air elements, and a consciousness element. The Buddha say, dependent on all the 6 elements, the descent of an embryo takes place or occurs. When this descent takes place, there's name and there's form. With name and form, the 6 sense bases arises. Thus arises contact, thus arises feeling, thus arises suffering. So because of these 6 elements, that come together, united by our energy of clinging or upadana, that give rise to a new life. A new life is conceived. Just like electricity manifested in light, heat, and so on and so forth, depending on conditions, the elements that come together can manifest in different forms, such as human beings, animals, as spirits or deities, is conditioned by our past karma, which condition our last thought when we die. Due to becoming, the process of becoming, or called bhava, as a result of our clinging, upadana, conditioned by our karma, and the state of mind or last thought, just before we pass away, we are reborn again in an existence suitable to our last thought. Because when we are about to die, our mental volitions will become very weak. It's very difficult to control our last thoughts unless there's a powerful event of the past. There is either a very good or very bad karma that have done in the past that thrust forward in our last thoughts. Unless such happen, otherwise our last thoughts are very much influenced or conditioned by our habit, our habitual karma. What we do habitually, when we die, our last thoughts cannot just stop like that, because our consciousness is a continuous stream of thoughts. And because of craving and clinging and not able to let go, therefore, this gives rise to the process of becoming, or bhava, resulting in the stream of consciousness to be united with the other elements again, with a mind base that's suitable to the conscious element, and a new life is reborn. So if the last thought is good, is a good thought, a wholesome thought, the rebirth will be a good rebirth in the human world or in the heavenly world. But if the last thought is not good or not wholesome, the rebirth will be in an unwholesome place, maybe in hell, maybe in the animal world, in the spirit world, and so on and so forth. And then just like his past life, once he is reborn, his destiny will be very much influenced by his past and present karma. Next please. So the way that leads to a short life makes people short life. The way that leads to a long life makes people live long. The way that leads to sickness makes people sick, and so on and so forth. Right? So this is what the Buddha taught us in the Chula Karma Vipanga Sutta, that eventually, whether we are long life, whether we are healthy, whether we are good looking, whether we are popular, significant, good status in society, rich or poor, and smart or not so smart, and so on and so forth, is because of our karma. Next, please. Right, so there's also a very interesting story. I think also many of you probably have heard before this story, that there was once upon a time in a deep mountain forest, there lived an old monk and also a young monk. The old monk was a great practitioner of the Buddha Dhamma, and he's very good in meditation. He was frequently in deep meditation, and normally when he started meditation, it could last for a day or two. In addition, during his meditation, he would also, his mind becomes so sharp, so concentrated, that he would also be able to see the future. One day, the monk was meditating. Suddenly, he found out that the young disciple, the young monk, was about to pass away, or going to pass away in 8 days. Therefore, the old monk called the young monk, and he said, my child, I'm going to give you an 8-day holiday so that you can go home to see your father and your mother. Really? The young monk said, thank you so much, Venerable Sir. In fact, lately I have been feeling very homesick too. And the old monk told the young monk, please remember to come back by the 8th day. And the young monk said, okay, Venerable Sir, please take care of yourself. I'm leaving now. So very happily, very delightedly, the young monk went down the mountains without realizing that the old monk was actually very sad. There was a bit of a sense of reluctance to see the young monk leaving, because the old monk was expecting the young monk, once he left the temple, he would not be coming back again, because 8 days later, he would have to pass away. So this young monk was walking down, and then eventually he stopped near the bank of a stream, a river stream, a small river, to drink some water as he was getting very thirsty. Then he saw that there was an ant cave, a cave with a lot of ants, many ants coming in and out. And he was very curious. He stayed there to observe for a while what's happening. Then he was finally about to leave, and then he saw something that he was so surprised. He said, oh, the water level of the stream is rising. Oh no, all the ants will be drowned if I don't do anything. The reason was because there was raining upstream for the past few days, and therefore the water level is going up and up and up, and you eventually cover the ants cave. So this young monk took a piece of cloth, put some hard soil in it, make up the protection wall along the cave, and prevent the water from actually submerging or covering the cave. Not only did he manage to stop the water from covering the cave, but he also skillfully diverted the water away to somewhere else. Hence, he saved the lives of the countless ants. And then 8 days later, he came back to the temple. The old monk was strolling in the mountains forest, actually very sadly, thinking that the young monk has already passed away. Then suddenly from a distance, he saw this young monk coming back to the mountains cheerfully. Happily asked the young monk to recount what has he done in the past 8 days while he has been away. When he pondered on the story, he finally understands that this young monk has saved the lives of many ants that had caused his ill. That it is a fated 8 days life expectancy. He was supposed to die in another 8 more days. Now it's lengthened to a longer and happier life. And this is the merit of cultivating good deeds. However seemingly insignificant they seem to be. Anyway, this is just a Chinese story, Chinese Buddhist story. And this story and the earlier stories are good illustration of how we can change our destiny. We just don't let our conditions decide our destiny. We can have the right frame of mind to change our destiny to a better one. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, I think I will stop here. May all of you have the correct and wholesome state of mind to create or influence the conditions of your life, to walk the path of the Dhamma and attain the cessation of dukkha eventually. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Brother Chim Siu Chun, for the sharing of your early years and the Dhamma stories. We have the opportunity to learn from your past experiences. Thank you for your Dhamma sharing, especially at a very short notice. Changing destiny. This is a wonderful topic on changing destiny. So it's question and answer time. Right. We have the first question. We have the first question of this interesting talk. The first question is, as Buddhists, should we believe in fortune telling to know our destiny then, since you talk about destiny?
Well, we cannot say that we don't believe in the ability to tell someone's future. We learn in the sutta that the Buddha himself, my laptop always got problem recently. We learn in the sutta itself that the Buddha himself has the ability to tell people future. There were times when he knew some people were about to die, even though they were still very healthy, but they are prepared, or they will prepare, or they are mentally prepared because of their past cultivation. They are actually ready to understand the truth, the Dhamma, and to gain liberations. So the Buddha went to teach them the Dhamma, and not long after that, they passed away, either as Sotapan or other stages of the Arya attainment, or reborn again as a heavenly beings, or even in the human world in a better existence. But the Buddha could tell the fortune of misfortune, or fortune or misfortune, but not for making money like some of the fortune teller. The Buddha intention is noble. There's to lead them to the path of liberation. There are many examples of also the Buddha or the previous Buddha predicting so and so the Bodhisattva would be the future Buddha. As for ourselves, of course, instead of looking for people to read our future, which in any case, we don't know whether those people can really do so or not. The best is we create our own future by doing more good karma. Okay, the answer to the question, Father Chuan.
All right. Yes. Thank you very much. Right. We go for the second question. How future is created or caused you by one's karma or doing? Who will judge one's karma? How karma is taught and transmitted to the next life? From Hakim.
That's a very good question. Who will judge our own karma? Within the context of the Buddha Dharma, there's no one who's going to be a judge when we pass away, that we are going to be reborn again, either in a wholesome state or very unwholesome state. It is very much dependent on our own karma, the thing that the action that we've done, whether wholesome or not wholesome. And this is basically it's just like, for example, the question is just like, for example, when we plant a seed, for example, maybe say a papaya tree or papaya seed, for example. The papaya seed will eventually germinate and grow into a papaya tree. Eventually, we also bear fruits. And the fruits that is what you call that come from the seed, So is the what you call the fruit that becomes. I mean, the seed eventually become a tree, and then it should become the fruit, bears the fruits. So it's very similar to a karma. It's not stored anywhere, but when the conditions are right, then our karma will fruition. So it depends on what sort of seed that we planted, and when the conditions are right, then similar to the tree, the papaya tree that you plant the seed, eventually will bear fruits. Okay.
All right. Okay, then we shall go to the next question. If we have been reborn from a previous life, why is it that we cannot remember our past life?
When you ask these questions, I think I can guess that you cannot remember your own past life. But don't worry, it's normal, because I also cannot remember my own past life. And for that matter, most people also cannot remember their past lives. But there are also some cases or many cases that people who can recall their immediate past life or have a weak memory of their past. I think all of you know about this famous Canadian-born American psychiatrist by the name of Dr. Ian Stevenson from the University of Virginia, who has done a lot of research on cases of people who can recall their past life. You can read all this if you Google Dr. Ian Stevenson on the internet, or read his books on reincarnation and biology, and etc. on people who can remember their past life as human beings. Of course, the majority of people do not reborn again immediately, as most of us, instead of reborn again as human beings, we probably have a better chances of being born again as animals or spirits, and so on and so forth. And therefore, finally when we are reborn again as a human beings, we will be in the mother of the womb for 9 months, and then a baby for many years. It's difficult for him or her eventually to recall back his past life, because when sometimes we cannot even remember our own what happened to us 10 or 20 or even 30 years ago. So don't talk about past life, isn't it? But there are people, of course, they're under certain form of hypnosis therapy. They call the past life regression therapy. They can remember vaguely their past life. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
I think we maybe one more question or
take one more question. Take one more question. From Casey Low. Does one's karma has any effect on his family? Sadhu.
In a way, yes. In a way, but of course, everybody is what they call the heir of his own karma. But when your karma fruition and if a person, because of something that make him suffer, then of course the family also suffer accordingly. But then the family members who have to suffer because of one member of the family has a very what they call serious thing that happened to him that make him suffer so much. Maybe the family suffer because of their own karma in the past, but somehow because of all this karmic affinity, they come together as a family, and therefore because of one particular member of the family suffer because of past karma, it affects also the rest of the members of the family. I think we just stop here for a while, because why not we spend maybe about 5 to 10 minutes of meditation, because I think all of us know that today Venerable Indarathana is supposed to give this talk, and we received a message yesterday that he has some flu-like symptom. Therefore, he has to take a rest. He has gone to take his PCR testing, and the results are not out yet. But anyway, shall we do a short meditation to radiate metta to Venerable Indarathana for his speedy recovery. Before that, I saw one question also. Where is our karma store? I think I've explained this just now in the what they call the analogy, or what they call the tree. The papaya seed that become a tree and then eventually bear fruits. All right. So it's not stored anyway, but the conditions are right. Karma will fruition. The past karma will fruition. Right. So okay, let us now sit down comfortably, everyone. Our brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Let's sit down comfortably. With our mind and body relaxed. Have a short meditation. Radiating metta to our Venerable Indarathana. But before that, let us have a short contemplation. Let's close our eyes, relax our mind and our body, sit in upright position, but comfortably, not to be too tense, just relax. Before we start our metta, let us have a few moments of contemplation, seeking forgiveness from all those that we have done wrong to, by our actions and speech or thoughts. That if I've done anything wrong to anyone, by actions, speech or thoughts, may I be forgiven, so that I may live, so that all of us may live in peace and harmony. And also forgive anyone who have done wrong to me by actions, speech or thoughts, in order that all of us may live in peace and harmony. Let's take a few deep breaths and slowly relax our mind and our body. Be relaxed. We breathe in all the positive energy and we breathe out all the negative energy. Let us relax. In the Dhammapada verse 5, the Buddha says, hatred is not overcome by hatred. Hatred is only overcome by non-hatred. And metta is a very powerful form of non-hatred. It's important to develop metta to overcome hatred or dosa, which is one of the three roots of all evils that bind us to samsara, the cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death. So let us now develop metta, first to ourselves. May I be well, happy and peaceful. May I be well, happy and peaceful. May I be well, happy and peaceful. Just I wish to be well, happy and peaceful, may other beings also be well, happy and peaceful. May my family be well, happy and peaceful. May my family be well, happy and peaceful. May my family be well, happy and peaceful. May my relatives and friends be well, happy and peaceful. May my relatives and friends be well, happy and peaceful. May my relatives and friends be well, happy and peaceful. May Venerable Indarathana be well, happy and peaceful. May Venerable Indarathana be well, happy and peaceful. May Venerable Indarathana be well, happy and peaceful. May all the doctors and nurses prescribe the right medicine and the right treatment for Venerable Indarathana. May he be well soon. May he be safe. May he be well, happy and peaceful. May Venerable Indarathana be well, happy and peaceful. May Venerable Indarathana be well, happy and peaceful. May Venerable Indarathana be well, happy and peaceful. May the Triple Gem bless and protect Venerable Indarathana. May the doctors and nurses prescribe the right medicine and treatment for Venerable Indarathana. May Venerable Indarathana be well soon and be safe. May Venerable Indarathana be well, happy and peaceful. May Venerable Indarathana be well, happy and peaceful. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, you may let go of the concentration. Slowly open your eyes. And by the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, may all those merits they will dedicate to a Venerable Indarathana. May he be well, be safe, be well, happy, and peaceful. Thank you and sadhu to all of you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Brother Chim Suchun. Thank you for leading us in the method for the good and well-being of Venerable Indarathana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, this morning we have participated in the Sunday Buddha Puja service, listening to the Dhamma sharing, further discussion during the Q&A session. With the merits accrued, let us dedicate the merits to all departed relatives, family, friends, and all beings, and may they rejoice to the merits. Brothers and sisters in Dhamma, this morning we'd also like to dedicate merits to Venerable Indarathana to be safe and free from suffering. May Venerable Indarathana have a speedy recovery. Patidana. Akasata cha bummata deva naga mahidika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakantu loka sasanang chirang rakantu desanang chirang rakantu mangparang etavata cha hamhehi Sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva sabbe satta sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya idang me nyatidang hodu sukita hontu nyatayo idang me nyatidang hodu Sukita hontu nyadayo, idang me nyadinang hotu, sukita hontu nyadayo. Imang no punya bagang, mata pitunancha, acharya nancha, sabba satanancha, sabba mitanancha, sabba nyadinancha, sabba petanancha, sabba devatanancha, bhajema. Imang no punya bagang, sabba satanang dema, sabbe satha sukita hontu. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana padya idang me punyang asavaka yavahang hotu idang me punyang nibbanasa pacayo hotu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Before we end, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, let us pay homage to the Triple Gem. Buddhang pujemi, Dhammang pujemi. Sangham pujemi. Sukhi Hontu to all devotees. Sadhu to those who have participated in the Buddha Puja till the end of the session at the dedication of merits. You may continue to express your thanks to our speaker, Brother Chin Shu Chun, and to those behind the scene to ensure a successful Buddha Puja service. We have come to the end of this for the second online Sunday Buddha Puja service. To visit us again next Sunday, May the 2nd. Thank you for those who have sent their comments, well wishes to Bante Indarathana. Wishing you, may you and family be safe, well and happy and peaceful always. During this COVID-19 pandemic, remember to stay safe is to stay home. Sukhi Hontu and goodbye. Sabbe Sata Sukhita Hontu.
Bahong sahan semabhinim mita sayodantang ngirimi kelang udita Sase